Well, good morning, everybody. To start us off today, I want to look at the 0Z overnight model runs here from the European model, because I think this 10-day precipitation anomaly forecast map really kind of shows us what we're going to be dealing with until we see the Pacific jet stream start to break up, which we discussed in last night's in-depth video. And in addition to just a continuation of very heavy precipitation into the western United States, we will see at least 3 systems over the next 10 days that kind of eject from the Colorado Rockies and kind of follow a trajectory like this. Now, there's quite mild and quite moist air that's going to be out ahead of this, which is why we see throughout much of the Corn Belt down into parts of the Mid-South potential for some very heavy rainfall. In addition to that, possibly some severe weather here. But do notice how from parts of Texas along the Gulf Coast and then here up to parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Carolinas, we see drier conditions. And because most of the momentum from the jet, when it does finally get across the Rocky Mountains, is pretty far to the south, we're not seeing a lot of above normal precipitation here, again from Montana through the northern plains and upper Midwest of the United States. While the Pacific jet remains extended with high momentum, we're going to continue to see storm system after storm system kind of heading toward the west coast. So I just wanted to give you this view of the Pacific Ocean looking at infrared satellite imagery. This was the large system we watched yesterday. There's a smaller one following this morning. Here's the one right behind it. You can see it here in the animation. So this is going to continue to be an issue for at least the next 7 to 8 days until the extended Pacific jet begins to break up. That breakup again is starting over in China and Russia off the Himalayan mountains. I'll show you that again in a few moments, but let's just kind of see how much precipitation we're going to get. So let's go back to here. This is what I'm going to show you next. So just in the next 7 days, this morning's or the overnight 0Z run for the west continues to put down, as you can see here, widespread 2 to some places over 8 inches of total rainfall. With the shift coming in the pattern, though, some of the precipitation amounts here along the I-5 corridor have started to pick up, as has expected snowfall in the central part of the United States. In fact, let's just go take a quick look at what we're expecting in terms of total snowfall here using a 10-to-1 ratio over the next 7 days. Oh, I got to do model run in. Let's go back and grab that 0Z run, because that other one, the 6Z, is not yet fully populated. So there we go. That's your kind of 7-day outlook here. Again, we're talking about some places in the Sierra Nevada that could add possibly 4 to 6 more feet of snow, and pockets in the interior here picking up quite a bit as well. So this is going to be a substantial event for the Sierra Nevada and then the Central Rockies picking up on snowfall. Okay, now let's go back to what that jet is going to do. So as we watch this, what we're going to see first is a disruption coming through parts of China. This is where the high pressure we talked about last night is going to build in. So we're kind of keeping our eye right over here. And what it's going to do is it's going to extend, it's going to send a trough of low pressure here. And this is going to help to break up the extension of the jet stream. And I'm going to make a call on this somewhere around the 18th and 19th. Because you see, once you get past that, what we end up seeing here is split flow in the Pacific Ocean. So the flow is coming down right here and like that. So this split happening in the Pacific and the Gulf of Alaska is going to change the trajectory of systems. They're going to be coming in again from that kind of northwest flow on weaker jet stream winds. But it's going to keep the East Coast very active. We continue to see the models showing up with this almost jet streak-like feature that starts in Texas and goes off the East Coast. And I'll show you the effect of that in just a few moments. But the first thing I want to talk about is, as we continue over the next 8 days with the extended jet, we do need to be on the lookout for possibilities strong to severe storms in the west. But then you notice as this first wave comes out here in that middle panel, strong to severe storms in parts of the Mid-South and then into the southeast once we get out there to the 12th. So let's go see that first system and then watch the 2 that follow it. Today's 0Z run, ready? So system 2 comes into the west here by midday today. We're actually going to watch part of that system eject out into the Rockies by midday Wednesday. We will open up an area from the Gulf Coast up to the Ohio River Valley for some showers with this and some around the Great Lakes, but I'm watching right here coming out of Colorado. So while the west continues to see storm systems targeting Northern California, there is a low that's going to show up right here coming out of Colorado, going through Kansas, showing up in Missouri. And this is the one that by possibly Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to have to watch the southern edge of this for some strong to severe storms. As we talked about in the in-depth video last night, there may not be enough cold air on the backside of this to give us a robust snow signal, but you can see some snow coming out of Kansas into Missouri. Heavy cold rain spreading out through the eastern Corn Belt, though. So then as that front moves through Thursday night, again, this is where the severe weather risk will be as system number 1 curls up into the eastern Great Lakes. It will spread heavy snow from parts of Michigan into Ontario and Quebec. There's a pretty good signal here for that. And then some very cold but heavy rain pushing through parts of New England. Now, as that front clears the east coast, you can continue to see the action in the west. And here comes the next large wave into California this weekend on Saturday. As one system exits east, the next one comes into the west. And we're going to watch that system right here early next week show up and possibly again go from Colorado toward Wisconsin. See that? So we're going to keep an eye again on the Mid-South, lower Mississippi River Valley for some strong to severe storms. Now, there's a lot of mild air in place, which is why you don't see huge snowfall totals for across a broad area. But remember, it's after this that the pattern begins to shift around. So just to put it all down, this is the probability of getting at least an inch of liquid equivalent, where there'll be some snow, but an inch of total precipitation. So heaviest in the eastern Corn Belt and the Ohio River Valley, and of course where we continue to see the stronger onshore flow in the west. If we just take a look at the probability of getting at least an inch of snow, this is what we've got. That's your chances of getting an inch, and here's the chances of getting 3 inches. So the main model differences are primarily from what we saw yesterday, primarily right in through this area where there's now less snow being forecast. Okay, from here, let's talk about that week 2 pattern, because the CPC continues to keep things quite wet across the rest of the country, but some of the newest data from the European model now starts to show the weaker flow coming into California, giving it a drier signal. But this will increase precipitation from the Pacific Northwest into the Central Rockies, and then systems will eject here in the Ohio River Valley, which is a pretty robust signal. So that's precip. Let's now talk temperatures. Here's today's projected high temperatures on Tuesday. You're going to see in this pattern very mild conditions. Even where we have colder air coming through, it's temporary. It's replaced pretty quickly by more mild air. This is next Friday into Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So this is very atypical of this time of year. Much of the eastern United States is having a top 10 warmest start to 2023. Looking back on all the data since 1893, I included that map in the report. Now, how long does it last? Well, day 5 through 10, which again gets us all the way out there to the 20th, we just continue to see more mild days than cooler days. And then beyond that, after the pattern shifts, that's when things could start to change. But we're looking here fully into the 3rd and 4th week of the month before there's any sort of substantial pattern change happening across the United States with respect to temperatures. Very similar situation as we're in for Europe, and we're going to watch, though, this cold air through Siberia move into China here very soon as that high pressure dives down. So that's one of the only big changes across the northern hemisphere. Lastly, I just want to show you the next 10 days of precipitation anomalies for South America. Again, models were consistent with the heavier rains expected in central Brazil, near normal for Mato Grosso and northern growing areas, but very dry in and along the Paraná River. So from Buenos Aires to Cordoba, Santa Fe, these are areas that just show up again and again with a drier bias in the models with each new forecast. So this is an area that it's now midsummer, and the crops down here are going to need more precipitation in order to be successful. And as a result of these model forecasts, we continue to see the risk of drought-induced yield loss in these areas. So we'll keep watching it. Appreciate your attention. We'll talk again in the morning. Thanks.